The push by some, ostensibly on the quote right, to convince men to abandon marriage and family life is not only foolish and wrong-headed, but deeply insidious. Now, what is going on here? Well, that is something that Matt Walsh said, and we're going to get into a lot of what he said. He said this a few days ago, but I had to get into the Russell Brand stuff and make sure that was, all spread out so that everybody can see what's really going on with social media and these media platforms, because they are going to be coming after a lot more people who speak out against their agenda. And for all those people out there who are giving me hate on my channel lately, by the way, I think it's very funny, very entertaining for me, so thank you. But this is Matt Walsh. You might be thinking, oh, he's your buddy here and you're in bed with him. If you were gay, you would be sleeping with him or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you think I am gay and I am sleeping with him. But no, I disagree with Matt Walsh fairly regularly because he's wrong a lot. And this just goes to show you that unlike you guys who are coming after me and saying that I'm stupid and wrong, I am not brainwashed. I don't agree with anybody that I listen to all of the time. I watch Tim Pool every single day, and I disagree with Tim Pool on a regular basis. I've even made videos about disagreeing with Tim Pool and put them on my channel. So here we go with somebody who you might think that I agree with. Yes, Matt Walsh is right about the trans movement that's going on here in the country lately, and we seem to be winning that fight. But he's wrong about a lot of other things. So he's wrong about this right here because he's anti-red pill. He's against the red pill because he's never had a reason to be red-pilled. And fortunately, thank whatever powers that be in the universe, my experiences that led me to red pill were not calamitous to my life. It's not always that way. It's not always the case. Now, before we get into this, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. You can find me over on Rumble and on Twitter. Hopefully Rumble can hold the line and keep from losing its revenue streams so that people can continue to upload there and make money off of Rumble, because that's what it looks like might happen in the not too distant future. But let's get into this quote here. Now, we read the first line. He goes on to say, these are bad actors intentionally leading men deeper into hopelessness. Really? Saying that men should abandon family and marriage is leading men deeper into hopelessness. No, men have been led to the pond of hopelessness, and like, oh, this is the pond of hopelessness. Well, I'm going to have to drink up here because there is no hope. And I spent years beating my head against the wall going, what the hell am I doing wrong? Why can't I get a good relationship? Why can't I become gainfully employed? All of the different problems that I was having in the world. Guess what they pointed to? The American woman. The literally, to a large degree, an American woman. And by a large degree, I mean a huge percentage of the population in this country of women is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I don't mean to be rude or cruel or insensitive in any way, but that's just the truth of it. Let's go on to see what else he has to say here. Many of these people are single and childless and know nothing about family life. In fact, it's clear that they are driven mainly by resentment and loneliness. They call this bitterness, quote, red pill or whatever, but it's much simpler than that. They're envious, starved for attention, and have despaired of even finding companionship in life. Rather than fix themselves, they try to spread their misery around. Okay, a lot there. I have a wife, and I've said on my channel, you should get married. And I think that you should get married. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. Men, you think you should get married. However, getting married in the United States is a huge gamble. You're probably going to end up divorced. There's a good chance you will end up divorced. And even if you don't end up divorced, on top of divorce, you have a high percentage chance of ending up in a unhappy marriage. So it's like there's about a 50% chance you're going to get divorced. And so how many of the marriages that stay together are happy? 10%, 15%, 25%, 30%, 40%? It can't be much higher than 40%, I wouldn't think, if people are in an unhappy marriage and just don't want to get divorced. Now, fortunately, there is still a myth out there these days about the laws favoring women. When it comes to alimony especially, that's a big myth. The laws don't favor women when it comes to alimony anymore. What we saw with Adele proves that. And I found this out years ago. I was in a pharmacy and I was waiting, and there was a fairly attractive woman there, young woman, and she was dressed in a business suit, a woman's suit. She had a skirt. Fortunately, she was at least trying to embrace her femininity. And I was like, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm a paralegal or something, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, well, I think she was actually like a lawyer's assistant or something. I don't know. And I was like, oh, what kind of law? She's like, oh, family court. And I was like, oh, really? I want to get the laws to change about these alimony laws where men have to pay all their money or half their money or whatever it is to these women. She's like, no, it's not like that anymore. It's changed. It goes by income now. So this was 15 years ago or something. It was shortly after I had moved to LA. I hadn't been living in California for very long. I've been here for 17 years. It's going to be 17 years in like a week. Oh, nightmare. That's California for you. So it's in California. And we saw, like I said, Adele, perfect example of a woman having to pay alimony because she is the higher earner. And I've seen this with people now throughout the years that it goes by earnings. I'm happily married, but if my wife were to divorce me, guess what? She started earning more money than me. Now, I mean, they could look at the entire history of our earnings together and be like, well, you earned more over the course of the marriage. I don't know if they could do that or not. I assume that they can. This is something that men don't want to be lonely. Men don't want to be on their own. Men want to have relationships. Pretty much every man I come across is like, yeah, I want to get married, settle down, have a woman in my life, somebody I can turn to. And in fact, a coworker of mine, he just recently was like, look, it's time for me. He's always struggled with women. Basically, he's never had an easy time with women. And he's like, I'm at a point in my life where I need to have that relationship. I have money. I have plenty of money. I can do whatever I want to do, but I need to have somebody there to can kind of help me as I get into old age, somebody I can rely on. I'm like, yeah, that's really why I was always looking for marriage, because my family was never there for me. My family, I could never rely on them. And so I always wanted to find somebody who could stand with me, stand beside me, and who would actually care about me, because my family certainly did not. So let's get back into what Matt Walsh has to say here, because he's clearly wrong about this. But whatever your motivations, if you are coming out against the family, against marriage, then you are agreeing with the left on the most fundamental and consequential of all issues. They want to tear down the institution for their reasons, you for yours, but you both are enemies of the most essential building block of civilization. I see no meaningful distinction between you. You're all a part of the same zombie horde trying to tear to pieces the thing that you don't understand. Oh, really? I think it's you who doesn't understand the situation that men have to get into. Yeah, the laws are now neutral when it comes to paying alimony, but still, women almost always marry a man who makes more money than them. Still, women almost always marry a man who is going to make more money than them moving through the relationship. They almost always marry a man who is going to trust them implicitly, and then they stab him in the back. I mean, okay, that was a bit of an exaggeration. They don't almost always marry a man who will trust them implicitly, and then they will stab him in the back. That does happen. Women can be so vindictive, so emotionally driven, take vengeance on somebody who's wronged them. Men can be too. I mean, there's some people who've I have scars so deep, that run so deep that they've not healed. There are people that have just hurt me deeply, and I want to hurt them back for what they've done. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. You can't be going out and doing vigilante justice. That's not how our system works. For all those of you out there hating on me because I was like, looks like Russell Brand is innocent. Looks like this is a witch hunt. I don't know what to tell you. It looks like it. I mean, if he's guilty, throw the book at him. But we got to determine that in a court of law. We have a civilization for a reason. We're not a zombie horde. You're the zombie horde, Matt Walsh, in this case. You're part of that zombie horde going, oh, yes, we have to get married because that's the only way. Unfortunately, that is a way that does not work. It was taken away from us by women, and they're freaking whinging all the time about how, oh, it's unfair. It's so unfair that men get it all and we get nothing. And it's still unfair. Even though we're getting it all now, we're getting more than men. It's still unfair. Men still get it all. We get nothing. Fact of the matter is, women are getting it all. And we know this. We see this. The statistics are there. Left always wants to point to their statistics and say, look, this is what's happening. It's crazy. They always want to point to a statistic and say that, this is bad. And then they also want to point to their anecdote and say, look, this is bad. And then if you do the same thing, oh, you're wrong. Okay, whatever. But we see the statistics of women graduating college at much higher rates than men. Was it 70% of graduates are now female? And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Or I know 60% of college students are women. But I think it's like 70% of grads are female or something close. I think it's higher than 60% are grads. And then young women are out earning men. If they don't have children, women on average are out earning men. Why? Because oh, we listen to them cry and whine. Oh, we got to give you more money because you're crying and whining. You're unhappy. Let's help you. Let's dry those tears. You little princess. Oh, you're so special. No, you want to be treated like a man, then man up. And I don't think you should. I think you should be treated like a princess. Get your ass back in the home where you can be safe and pampered. Back to Matt Walsh. There's no question that marriage presents certain risks and potential hazards for both men and women alike. Yeah, it's so dangerous for women. They get to jump in with a man who makes twice what they make and then walk away with cash and prizes and all the kids. Wow. And also they get to have a side piece or 3 or 5 or 150 side pieces. And then they immediately get to go out and find another man because men are so desperate for that sweet, sweet honeypot. It's true that family courts are stacked against men. But you just contradict yourself right here. It's true that divorces happen too often, and they are ugly and terrible, but the answer is not to abandon the family, thereby abandoning civilization itself. Yep, men bend over backwards and take it up the rear for civilization. even though that civilization doesn't like you. That's not a solution. That's simply surrender. If you want to be a coward and send you the white flag in your own life, that's fine. Trying to recruit others into your cowardice is the worst evil. Look, I've said, I just said it in this video, go find yourself a good woman. But the thing is I understand why men are not, because you can't trust these women. I got stabbed in the back so hard by my ex-girlfriend. Fortunately, I've never been married to a woman who stabbed me in the back. Stabbed me back so hard for nothing. For basically nothing. Compared to what she did to me, it's nothing. Okay, so I was not perfect in the relationship. If you are interested in learning more about this, it was covered by Terrence Popp. But she would express anger towards me, bitter vitriol towards me, violent anger. She abused me. She cheated on me. And she was just all around an immature person. Her solution to her, in her mind, justifiable anger hurt me as much as possible. I didn't try to hurt her. Did I hurt her? Probably. You always hurt the ones you love. The people you're close to, you're going to step on every once in a while at least. And you apologize for it and you move on. But ideally, the relationship is worth it. That relationship wasn't worth it. It should have ended a long time ago. But, I look at her life now, and she has not fared well. She's not doing as well as, you would think. And it also shows that she doesn't have a relationship. She was significantly younger than me, and it's easy for women to get a relationship. She didn't have one. Look at me, happily married. So I think I did something right there. But yeah, that bitterness that comes from that being cut down like that by women is palpable to a lot of men. I actually feel those feelings. And it's like, look, why would I put myself into a situation where I'm going to get stabbed in the back? And a lot of men are going to a foreign market because the women there are much more respectful and respectable. He has some other stuff to say that's just ridiculous here. Let's take a look. So he has this here. I had maybe $50 in my bank account when I got married. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm a hell of a lot more financially comfortable now, but I achieved that success along the way with my wife by my side. You don't need to be rich to get married. Typically, women are looking for Chad. As far as marriage is concerned, yeah, they want a guy who's going to be earning some money. But if you want to attract a woman, you got to be Chad. In some way, shape, or form, you have to be able to attract a woman physically, emotionally. That's really what it comes down to. It's an emotional response. If you can't do that, you can't get a woman. It's that simple. The obvious way is to be 6 feet tall and have an athletic physique. I have the athletic physique, but I was never 6 feet tall. So that limited my options, especially for long-term commitment, because women don't want to commit to a man who is not 6 feet tall, who's not their ideal, their dream. Right? They'll play around with him, sure. What I'm telling you here regarding this money is so obvious. Look around it. How many women out there have an illegitimate child with a deadbeat? How many young women out there get pregnant by some deadbeat that, oh, he's so sexy, so amazing? How many of these women do that? It's commonplace in our civilization. It has nothing to do with money. They're attracted to Chad. Let's see what else he says down here. You don't need to be rich to attract a woman, but you do need to show ambition and potential. Women want security, but they will marry men who they view as having great potential to provide it, even if they're broke at the time. When we were younger, my wife would constantly tell me something. I don't care. I'm not going to go on with that because we just covered that. It's Chad. You got to be Chad. There are more traditional women who are like, look, I'm willing to get with a good man who I can build a life with. There are those women out there. They're hard to find. And then even if you get with that woman, is she going to change her mind later on? Is she going to feel slighted in some way and become vindictive? This happens all too often in our civilization, especially if she's an attractive woman. She's going to be getting other offers. She's going to have other options. Do you think she might not take those options, take those offers? I don't know if she will or not, but that's always a possibility. There's that famous song, I don't know if you've heard it, but marry an ugly woman. Marry an ugly woman because she's not going to cheat on you, right? I don't think you should marry an ugly woman, by the way, but that's a famous song for a reason. And he goes on to say, some men think they struggle to attract women because they have no money. But often the problem is that they have no drive, no ambition, no big plans for the future. This is very unappealing to women. Yeah, that's what it is. No, they're not Chad. Okay? You can have all the ambition in the world, all the drive in the world, but if you're not successful, you're not Chad. There's too many men out there who have ambition but have never been successful. Look at my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is a perfect example of this, that I'm trying to build this channel to a point where I can make a living off of it, period. Nope, nothing. I finally started earning a little bit of money recently. So yeah, I have ambition. There you go. There's a sign that I want something bigger than what I have right now. It's not going to attract a woman to me. If you get a traditional woman from another country. My wife came here. I was working 2 part-time jobs, not even hitting 40 hours a week when I met her and started dating her. I was working like 30 hours a week at 2 part-time jobs. And then shortly after I met her, I got another part-time job, dropped one of the jobs that I had, and I was hitting like 35 hours a week, I think, and making more money at this new job. And then that turned into a bigger part-time job, and then finally became a full-time job where I was making a good living. And then she bought her business after that. So we grew together, yes. But that's a traditional woman that you're going to be hard-pressed to find in the United States, especially if you're not Chad. Yeah, so he doesn't really have anything else to say other than that same thing about how, oh, yeah, you got to be ambitious. You don't have to have money. You just have to be ambitious. That's what's going to get women to you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's going to be good quality women. And women are never going to cheat or leave you or anything like that. Women are all honest and loyal and faithful, and they don't have lives of their own. And we don't need to change the family court system in this country. In fact, abolish the family court system, period, in this country. You know, watch Divorce Corp, the movie, and that'll answer a lot of these questions for you. This is so ridiculous, you know. You marry a woman who's going to be a good companion, you hope. But if she wants to, she can walk away and ruin your life. So I've seen it happen to too many men. And, you know, I still ended up getting married. I decided I wasn't going to get married, and then I met my wife, and it's like, oh, well, I guess I am going to get married. All right, well, you know, thanks for watching. Here's your palate cleanser.
No more. No more. No more. We're almost done. Just a little bit more.